Smells like...
What's nice?
I'm all turned around.
Don't look at the state map.
This is my second day in a car, man. Stop.
This has gone too far. It has to stop.
Where is he?
Please help!
Are we gonna help him?
No.
Stop!
We'll get through this.
I know.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my Last of Us Episode 4 trailer video. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs and references. We'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, I'm doing videos for all the episodes. Be sure to subscribe to get them. We're also doing a giveaway for HBO Max subscriptions. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and post all your theories from the trailer on the comments. Careful for spoilers for everything that's happened on The Last of Us so far if you haven't caught up with the episodes. But at the end of episode 3, Joel and Ellie arrived at Bill and Frank's in Lincoln, just outside of Boston, a little while after they killed themselves, finding Bill's letter to Joel, giving him all his supplies, his car that they desperately needed to get them the rest of the way to Wyoming. The episode in general was a big departure from the video game story because they did so much of Bill and Frank's backstory, and you didn't really get that in the games. But the end result of the episode was pretty much the same. But in the game, Bill really only gave them the car itself, and that was it. In the episode, they got a ton of supplies, including Ellie's t-shirt from the games. Most of everyone's costumes, though, and all the props are based on versions of the game. But they are changing where some of the items actually came from. And if it wasn't clear, in the episode, Bill's car is meant to be the exact same version of his car in the video game, like it looks exactly the same. But here's the next big change. So in episode 4, there's a huge change from the video games from that next part of the story. In the game, the next major encounter happens in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. But the showrunner and Neil Druckmann made it sound like this next major fight that they have in this trailer, you see all these scenes in the city, is actually Kansas City, and it's against the Hunters, who are a group from Pittsburgh in the games. It seems like they just wanted them to move across the United States a little bit more, like they wanted the city itself to feel much different, and Pittsburgh is relatively close to Boston. So on the show, they will have gone way further by the time that they encounter the Hunters. One of the other big changes is they've added a brand new character that wasn't in the games, played by Melanie Lynskey here, who's named Kathleen. She's meant to be the leader of the Hunters. Now, like I said, the Hunters themselves are a huge group in the games. And it's possible that they drive past Pittsburgh and remark on it like there's some sort of reference to that part of the video game. But a lot of what happens in the trailer is part of their encounter with the Hunters in Pittsburgh in the game. So they are doing video game stuff, they're just changing the location in a few of the characters. The Hunters are an antagonistic group ruling over Pittsburgh in the game after they overthrew FEDRA, the governmental force there. On the show, it's going to be Kansas City, like I said, and they are a huge group. They're meant to be like an opposing faction to the Fireflies. Making the Walking Dead comparison again, because we're talking about characters that are kind of like zombies, but they're being controlled by fungus in The Last of Us. The Hunters would be kind of like Negan's group of saviors compared to Rick's group of the survivors. The Hunters are meant to be way more antagonistic, but they're a huge group. Like imagine if Negan's group on The Walking Dead started covering way more cities. The Hunters, when they encounter them, are meant to control this entire city, but later you find their group has continued to spread across the United States, like they get bigger and bigger and more powerful. At the beginning of the trailer, they're camping in the woods overnight. Ellie gets disgusted by the coffee. It's another reference to her remarking that she's never been in the woods, been camping, or even been in a car for that matter. So everything they're doing on this mission is just totally new to her, and she's worried about the fungus in general, like she's not totally fearless. There's this sense of existential dread hanging over everybody living in the apocalypse, just in general. But just compared to Joel and all their scenes, you can tell she's having way more fun at all this than he is. To him, it's still more of an obligation that he's fulfilling, a promise that he made to Tess to complete the job. So he's mostly doing this for Tess, not so much for Ellie. Get her the rest of the way. At least at this point in their story, he's not really doing it because he cares about Ellie or anything like that. He's only protecting her because he promised Tess to get her to the other Fireflies alive. But Joel does have that funny moment briefly with her when she's complaining about the coffee in the car, talking about how it smells and looks terrible, slurping loudly just to mess with her a little. Showing you that he does actually have a sense of humor. It's just still so early in the series, in their story, that will slowly start to come out more by the finale. As they continue to drive across the landscape, we get wider shots of the Midwest as they pass across the country, just showing you how nature has slowly started to take back the Earth, even though it's only been about 20 years. The reason why you don't see giant roving bands of infected, unlike The Walking Dead with the walkers, is that the infected aren't guaranteed to just keep on living indefinitely. As Joel and Tess said previously in episodes, a lot of them die relatively soon for various reasons before they can evolve into higher states, but the general rule of thumb is that the infected will evolve into higher states as long as they continue to live. The most dangerous one from the game so far is the Rat King. Like, you've probably seen jokes about the Rat King even if you haven't played the games, which is what they call the infected who's lived for over 20 years and becomes this hybrid amalgamation of a bunch of different types of infected, like a super fungus warrior. Within the context of The Last of Us, the Fireflies consider it something of an anomaly, like nobody truly understands exactly how the fungus works at that stage of development. But the idea is that the Rat King has this whole bunch of extra weapons and armor growing around its body because it's continued to evolve so much. And because it's meant to be the fusion of a couple different types of infected that all kind of bond and grow together, it's way, way bigger. Maybe we'll see a Rat King in like season 2 or season 3. Then in the trailer, Ellie gets them lost. They start yelling at each other because she's never been outside the quarantine zone. She's never tried to read a map like this. Naturally, she's not going to be a dynamite navigator on her first try. They get lost in Kansas City, like in the actual city. They slam on the brakes to avoid hitting someone, calling for help, and this is a scene taken directly from the games, but it's happening in Pittsburgh in the games, and it's part of the way the hunters lay traps for unsuspecting guests. Luring people who they refer to as tourists, like people who aren't part of their group already, into a false sense of security, helping the helpless, and preying on their goodwill. But Joel, correctly, smartly, tells Ellie they're not going to help him, which is super smart on his part. It's not him being an asshole, it's just that paranoia, like the joke that they reference in episode 3 where he's talking to Bill in the flashbacks. Oh, I'm just like you. We're extra careful in situations like this. But here in this moment, the wheels are turning in Joel's head, and he's thinking, this is the way that I would play it if I were trying to trap people, and that's why they try to bail on it. The Hunters group generally kills anybody they can find, like shoot first, ask questions later. Even on their truck here, it says run and spray paint on the front, kind of mocking the people that they mow down with it. Basically anybody that travels into their city, Kansas City in this case in the TV show, the Hunters will kill and then just try to take all their stuff. And Joel and Ellie rolled in with a truck full of supplies. And a big part of Joel and Ellie's story during the next part, during episode 4, episode 5 and beyond, is them bonding more as a pair while they're busy trying to escape the Hunters across the city. Like they're literally fighting their way across the city, and they also use those moments for Joel to start answering more of Ellie's questions that she keeps badgering him with. They kind of had some of that energy in episode 3, a couple scenes where they're walking down the road and she kept asking him about his history, just being really inquisitive. There are way more moments like that in episode 4. The only difference is that in the last episode, he was still very reluctant, didn't fully answer a lot of the questions, or answered very quickly, or was vague about some of his answers. In episode 4, he starts to open up to her more, and the shared trauma of what they go through trying to escape the Hunters, and all their heartfelt chats as they're running from all the bullets, brings them much closer together ultimately. The scene of Joel getting stuck in the traffic jam on the highway is earlier in the episode before they make it into the city, and it's the whole reason why they have to go into the city instead of just using the highway. Because back in 2003, when things went crazy with the fungus, everyone started turning, you had all these people driving around at the time, which led to a bunch of pileups on the highway, making portions of the highway system unusable in present day. We get the scene of Melanie Lynskey's Kathleen, leader of the Hunters, holding someone captive, another new character, when he says, this has to stop, it's gone too far, and she asks him where they are. I'm assuming she's talking about Joel and Ellie, and it's happening later in the episode. There's a couple fight scenes of them running through the buildings, escaping the Hunters, trying to kill them. And I believe the next 2 episodes will be here around this location in Kansas City, around the Hunters, episode 4 and episode 5. Because there are a couple of big characters in the game that we've seen in the trailers they encounter in this same larger encounter against the Hunters. So they've confirmed that they're going to be characters on the show. I'm assuming that happens relatively soon after the events of this particular episode. Like it'll be the next episode after this. No spoilers for what's going on with their story. We'll just wait till they drop the episode 5 trailer to talk about them. I don't know if Melanie Lynskey is supposed to be in multiple episodes because she is a brand new character that wasn't in the games. And in the games, after they make it through the Hunters portion of the story, at least in the first game, you only hear about the Hunters briefly, but they are still a huge antagonistic faction looming in the background and a big rival to the Fireflies. Their group continues to get bigger and spread through other cities in the United States, getting larger, controlling more territory. And in the second game, Last of Us 2, they encounter another separate group of hunters eventually. So because they just confirmed Season 2 is going to be adapting Last of Us 2, or part of Last of Us 2, they're going to break the second game into a couple different seasons. I wouldn't be surprised if they keep Melanie Lynskey's character around longer term in future seasons, but we'll see. They've already been changing a lot of stuff from the game, so we'll see how they continue to change stuff on the show. But there are so many huge actors that show up on this show. We've only had 3 episodes, but there are like a couple really big actors that only came for a couple episodes. There is some other footage from previous trailers with Ellie using Bill's gun while they're running through the streets. I'm assuming this is from episode 4, too, and they're still in Kansas City against the Hunters. And it's just the show not waiting long to pay off the scene of her finding a gun after asking Joel and Tess for one so many times. Like, oh, I found a gun, this will come in handy, and then boom, next episode, it comes in real handy. A lot of her arc, especially early in the game here, is experiencing things for the first time, as she literally says. Both cool stuff and experiencing traumatic stuff for the first time. One of them is actually having to kill a regular person for the first time. She's killed infected before she met Joel. She was traumatized by that, and we'll see that in future flashbacks. But up to this point, she's never actually had to kill a regular person that was not infected, like these Hunter characters. And it's just another step on her path to toughening up and learning to survive on her own. She's not completely helpless, but as you see in the trailers so far in all the episodes, she can barely read a map, so she has a long way to go before she could survive completely on her own long term. If you spotted any other Easter eggs or references in the trailer that I didn't mention in the video, write them below in the comments. My full Last of Us Episode 4 video will post Sunday after they release it. There was a brand new Mandalorian Season 3 trailer. I'm working on a new video for that. And then the real big thing that's happening right after I'm posting this video is James Gunn is meant to announce his new DC Phase 1 slate of movies in the new Superman movie, like all the big rebooted DC movies. Of course, I'll do videos for all the stuff that he announces. Make sure you have alerts enabled for my channel so you don't miss any of those. Congratulations, Space Invader, you're the giveaway winner for my Last of Us episode video. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your contact details. Everyone click here for my full Last of Us Episode 3 video and Easter eggs, and click here for all my Last of Us episodes. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe.